Today's big story, is this the next big profit center in used cars? You're listening to the audio edition of my weekly car dealership guide newsletter. Before we dive in, this episode is brought to you by the Auto Hauler Exchange. The Auto Hauler Exchange has revolutionized the way vehicle haulers and vehicle shippers collaborate. The exchange is the first digital marketplace of its kind and helps dealers save time and money. Learn more by visiting autohaulerexchange.com or clicking the link in the show notes below. Let's get into it. The used EV market has been on a roller coaster, igniting a wave of many differing opinions, but we don't care about opinions, we care about profit. So let's cut to the chase. Is there money to be made on used EVs or not? To find out, I spoke with over half a dozen automotive professionals, from dealer principals to battery specialists and even EV policy experts, and here's what I learned. Area of opportunity number one. The used EV market will keep growing rapidly over the next few years. While only commanding 1.6% market share today, year to date through October, used EV sales are up 63.5% compared to the same time frame in 2023, according to Cox Auto. The primary reasons are affordability, value, and subsidies. Sure, on average, used EV financing might need a bigger down payment than used gas cars or leases, but the monthly payments pretty much the same. But financing a used EV provides better value for most consumers, since these vehicles are often newer than gas cars. And unlike leasing, if you're not facing a steep depreciation decline, which we did face over the last couple of years, it does build equity for the owners. Throw in the Inflation Reduction Act's $4,000 tax credit on used EVs under $25,000, with a few strings attached, of course, and plenty of buyers are locking in some of the best deals around. The elephant in the room is the federal EV tax credits will probably get repealed sometime next year, possibly in the fall, doing no favors for affordability. Without them, demand might cool, though a short-term spike is likely. Nothing motivates buyers more like a deadline. Further down the road, used EV values could rise if new EVs become less affordable. Yet, in 2026, the volume of returned EV leases will spike 230% and flood the used EV market, likely putting downward pressure on prices, reports JD Power. Regardless, used EV inventory will go from thousands to millions in the not-so-distant future, and the dealers that are already well acquainted with market dynamics and put processes in place to sell used EVs have a distinct edge. Which brings me to area of opportunity number two. Dealers with the right vehicle acquisition to retail pipeline are winning and will continue winning. Like most of the dealers I talked to, Metro Atlanta dealer John DeHaas from Rick Hendrick Automotive Group, one of the top 10 used Tesla dealers in the country, gets the bulk of his used EVs at wholesale auctions, supplementing with online used EV marketplaces and private sellers. Unlike traditional ICE vehicles, the valuation of EVs greatly hinges on factors like battery health, software options, and range, details that aren't always transparent at every auction. As a byproduct, the industry is seeing an uptick in EV specialization ventures working their way in to fill critical gaps. Everything from battery health monitors to appraisal tools and marketplaces, EV-specific auctions, and charging ports are at dealers' disposal. On the other hand, New York City Polestar dealer Matthew Haken plays it differently. Instead, he purchases a lot of certified pre-owned vehicles directly from Polestar and uses the steady flow of lease returns in his region to fuel his supply. But no matter which way dealers are sourcing inventory, with the current tight supply of sub-25,000 used EVs, pricing them to meet tax credit criteria often wipes out front-end profit, a few of the dealers I spoke to said. After transport, reconditioning, and bank fees, margins are razor thin. And even though the tax credit has made things more competitive, it's still a massive stimulus for higher used EV sales volumes at dealerships. And it's obviously really helping car owners who might need to roll over negative equity into a new car. However, the trickiest part for dealers is still managing depreciation risks. According to Edmunds, used EV values have fallen 20.5% year over year from Q2 of 2023 and 38.5% from Q2 of 2022. There is good news though. Tesla's initial steep price cuts are in the rearview mirror, and values are stabilizing, likely making it a safer time for dealers to enter the segment. If you remember, Tesla's price cuts were what ignited this big depreciation crash. But a fast inventory turn rate is still vital. John told me that he typically gives a car 15 days on the lot to rack up some leads. If that doesn't happen, he readjusts the price. At the 30-day mark, he shifts to sell at all cost mode, ensuring the vehicle moves before becoming a liability. This isn't too different from traditional gas cars, but it still paints a picture of how important turn velocity is with EVs. Part of his strategy also involves paying close attention to out-of-state leads. If buyers from places like California are reaching out, it's a clear sign that his pricing is competitive and that the consumer hasn't found a better deal in their local market. But pricing isn't the only lever available, and that brings me to area of opportunity number three. Educating buyers busts misconception and closes more deals. I recently spoke to Recurrent CEO Scott Case, who told me that consumers are naturally skeptical about EV batteries because they've spent over a decade living with lithium-ion batteries in devices like iPhones. they've seen firsthand how batteries degrade, making their phones less reliable after just a few years. So it's no surprise they assume EVs will do the same. That's the perception the industry is dealing with. Virginia dealer Michael Wood from Checkered Flag Auto Group partners with specialized EV-focused companies to tackle this head-on. They provide him with a detailed battery health report, which he shares with customers, offering transparency and peace of mind. Michael also has an interactive display on every used EV vehicle display page on his website that allows shoppers to see the savings they could accrue over the vehicle's lifetime. Sure, slight degradation will happen, but full-on battery replacements happen far less than people think. And most consumers also don't realize that depreciation works differently for EVs. It's not only about the mileage, it's about battery health. A high mileage EV with a solid battery can often outvalue a low mileage one with a degraded one. But car buyers are used to thinking that mileage tells the whole story, so they undervalue high mileage EVs with strong batteries. Dealers who take the time to explain this concept and guide buyers to these overlooked vehicles are unlocking big prospects in their market and likely big profits. So what's the big takeaway? Look, there's no guarantee that starting up used EV sales at a dealership will turn out profitable. I reached out to franchise dealers on X about this topic a few days ago, and there were several dealers who told me they tried it and it flopped. Some experiments are bound to fail. But from where I'm standing, the data and positive anecdotes paint a compelling picture of the used EV market's short-term and long-term profit outlook for dealers. And there's enormous potential for dealers to stake their claim in local or regional markets. At the end of the day, the real question isn't if there's money to be made, it's who's ready to make it. That's a wrap for this week. If you found this news recap valuable, please share it with at least 3 other people, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us grow and create more content for you. Plus, we'd really love your feedback, and we mean it. That's the only way we can get better. You can email me, Car Dealership Guy, DM me, anonymously, not anonymously, it doesn't matter. You can reach out however you prefer to let us know what you'd like. Quick reminder, if you have any tips for me or our editorial team, you can email us at insights@cardealershipguy.org, or again, send me an anonymous DM on any social platform. We'll put this link in the show notes below as well. See you next week.